Live right here on this Monday on the early line on SportsGrid. A doubleheader of NBA playoff action on this Monday night. 2 Game 4s, so that all 8 of our opening round playoff series will have seen their 4th game. The first one, DRS, is maybe the most important series through the entirety of the opening round of this NBA postseason in your eyes. Game number 4 tonight in San Francisco between the Golden State Warriors and the 2 seed, the Houston Rockets. The regular season referendum from the mind of DRS. Golden State with a victory on Saturday, 104-93. The Dubs have opened up a 2-1 series lead. They were a 3-point home favorite on Saturday. Even without Jimmy Butler, they win that game behind 36 points from Steph Curry. Tonight, DRS, a similar number. 3.5 points in favor of the Dubs. A total now at 203 on its way up because DRS, as the Warriors said yesterday, there is a, quote, belief that Jimmy Butler is set to return for game number 4 tonight.
Yeah, and here's the problem. I thought the Houston Rockets would be able to win this series before game number 1. Wildly disappointed in the Rockets I was after game number 1. Game number 2, hey, look at that. Riding the ship, get a good performance at a superstar player. All right, we're in the series. Let's go back to Golden State. And you get the bonus of Jimmy Butler not being available in game number 3. Now's your chance, Houston. Win game number 3. Roll the dice in game number 4, but you head back to Houston, worst case scenario, 2-2 with home court advantage, and away you go. Jimmy Butler doesn't play, you get beat in that game, and now my morale for the Houston Rockets winning this series is at an all-time low. So I look at that price point today of 3.5, and I say to myself, there's no way, shape, or form I want the Houston Rockets. Because if Jimmy Butler does come back to play, when you couldn't beat him with Jimmy Butler, what gives me the advantage of saying now's the time to back the Houston Rockets? I don't want to be out on the Rockets, but it feels like I should be, Ben.
Yeah, DRS, it really does feel like that. And again, we can question what that means, and we will look at the series odds in just a moment for the NBA regular season. That the 2 seed with home floor advantage, despite the 7 seed having that playoff pedigree, has a guy like Jimmy Butler added to the fold. They make their way to the play-in tournament. They were the series outright favorites, and now the favorites for sure to win this opening round set and maybe do so rather comfortably in 5 games. Of course, a 2-1 series lead entering game 4 tonight. 3.5 point favorite. DRS, in terms of the total, now back to 203. We have seen all 3 games so far work their way under 203 points at most. And as we have seen for the Rockets, Houston has only seen the century mark once. It was in the game 2 win last week. DRS, it's also really interesting because maybe you're not believing in the Houston Rockets, and I don't really fault you in thinking so. Can the Rockets win outright tonight? Perhaps. But if Houston is going to do so, one guy has to go over his points prop, and that's Jalen Green. 17.5 points is the prop tonight for the young Houston star. But I say star almost cautiously because in game number 1, 7 points. Called him out entering game number 2. Green himself admitting he had some playoff nerves entering his first career playoff game. How does he respond? Sensationally. 38 points. 8 made triples in game number 2. The lone game the Rockets have won so far in this set. How does he respond in his first road playoff game? Awfully. 9 points on Saturday against Golden State. If Houston is going to win, if Houston is going to make something of this opening round series, Jalen Green must go over 17.5 points.
Yeah, he really has to. And also, I do like the fact that we have these extended series, right? And the teams start to hate each other. Draymond Green, Jalen Green going after it here. And all this guy does is talk. That's why he has left in his game. So I look for maybe one of those performances out of Jalen Green that goes, I'm better than this. And there's no way I'm going to let Draymond Green show me up here again in his own building. I got to have a good performance. And a good performance doesn't mean 36 points. You're just asking for 20 points in a road game with a total of around 20. That's what should happen. Like if Jalen Green goes for 11 points, they're not winning this basketball game. So you know me, Ben. I love correlated plays that say, tell me a story where the Rockets don't win this game but keep it close and Jalen Green scores 10 points. Or tell me a better story that the Rockets win this game and Jalen Green scores 14 points. It's not happening. He needs a big night tonight. But the hype I had for the Rockets and the anger towards the odds market, as I look at it now, it's like, hey, maybe the odds market was right. But if the Rockets can win this game, I'll be buying back in. But so demoralizing was that Game 3 loss. It really was.
We'll talk more about DRS's referendum for the Rockets up next on the Early Line. Getting you set for a doubleheader of NBA playoff action on this Monday night. We start with the nightcap and the most intriguing and compelling of our two NBA playoff games. The Rockets trying to even up a series at 2-game apiece. Golden State, the home team tonight inside the Chase Center, looking to take that commanding 3-1 series advantage. The Dubs a 3.5-point home favorite. Total stands at 203. Again, DRS, Golden State winning on Saturday without Jimmy Butler by 11, 104-93, covering as a 3-point home favorite, expecting to have Jimmy Butler back tonight. He has a points prop listed. The Warriors have, quote, belief that Jimmy Butler will return for game number 4 after the hard fall early in game number 2. 19.5, that points prop for Butler entering game number 4 right now.
It's funny because, we weren't sure he's going to come back. They're saying he's coming back, which always leaves you up in the air like, well, if you do come back to an NBA game, it's not like, hey, Jimmy, give me 10, 15 minutes here, can you? No, he's going to be in the starting lineup, and you expect him to be effective. So knowing Jimmy Butler when he's healthy and playing full minutes, which means 30-plus, that 19.5 probably feels like a steal. Like, we understand the playoffs are run through your superstars, and Jimmy Butler was doing that to start the playoffs before he got injured. I just want to know the pain threshold that he has, and it doesn't sound like it's an injury like, let's just say he can re-aggravate an ankle or re-aggravate a hamstring injury. It's probably just, okay, I might land on the hip, I'll have extra padding, but I'm fully functional at this point, and I just needed an extra day or two to get my leg back into shape. So I look at this and say it's a normal stay-away play for me if I want to bet any Jimmy Butler props. But then you see the 19.5 and go, Donnie, he's going to play 31 minutes tonight. He's going to get 20 points if he plays the 31 minutes tonight.
Of course, DRS, he did score 25 in the opening game of this series. In Houston, the only full game that he has played. We mentioned we would look at where the odds stand entering game number 4. The Rockets referendum for the sanctity of the regular season. As Donnie Wright's side sees it, Golden State minus 360 to win this series outright. The most likely amount of games and the most likely amount of time for Golden State to win this series is in 6 at plus 210. But Golden State doing so, DRS, even in a gentleman's sweep in H-Town, is plus 220, only 10 cents behind. We questioned, right, what Game 2's importance would be late last week. If the Rockets lost both of their games, having home court advantage as the 2 seed, you were done watching the regular season in its entirety. If Houston loses tonight, as expected, as a slight road underdog in San Francisco, to fall in that the 3-1 series hole, how are you going to feel about the Rockets, the referendum, and the regular season?
Yeah, it's going to be rough at this point. But again, we talk about the zigzag theory, which bounces back, and you have 2 good basketball teams at the playoffs, and they understand. Like, even though they're a young team in the playoffs, they're still the 2 seed. They won a lot of games in the regular season. You know you can't lose this game. You go down 3-1, the series is effectively over. Understand Golden State understands that concept of winning multiple championships. Hey, when you have a team down, make sure you continue to keep them down and don't give them hope. We'll see the way it plays out, but I'm just hoping from a fan perspective, for me and my sanity, that Houston can wake up, win this basketball game, go home, and say, okay, best of 3. We're in the series now. We had 2 games we didn't play so well, 2 games we played extremely well. Now let's use this home court advantage to our advantage and try to get a lead in here. But that's going to come today. And also, you're looking at the concept of 61% of the bets coming in here on Golden State, 54% of the money coming in on Golden State. It's not as crazy as I thought it would be, because usually after game number 3, no Jimmy Butler, now Jimmy's back. It's only 3.5. If they win the game, they'll probably cover the 3.5. That's not a ton of support publicly, at least with the FanDuel Sportsbook, that I thought it would be. So me looking at that price point of the Houston Rockets at 3.5, just reading the lines, it looks like it's a Houston Rockets line tonight, to be honest.
It kind of is, DRS. And again, Golden State a minus 360 favorite. It feels as though, with the Warriors up 2-1 and a 3.5 point favorite tonight, that this should be where the Warriors shine, right? That playoff pedigree was the whole reason they were that series outright favorite entering, and of course playing some really good basketball after the acquisition of Jimmy Butler in early February, despite not having home floor advantage. But what is really interesting when you kind of examine those series odds further, DRS, you would expect for a Golden State team that is likely to win this set in 6 games, plus 210. For a Golden State team that could win this in 5, plus 220. Maybe that series spread would now be 2.5 games. It's not. It's only a game and a half in favor of Golden State and minus 170 in terms of the juice you would have to pay to back the Dubs in that number. Again, for me, it's rather simple. If you think Houston wins outright tonight, if you think the Rockets even make this game close at all, single digits, 5 points or fewer, it's Jalen Green over 17.5. Without that, the Rockets really have little chance.
Exactly. Take a look at maybe some 3-point props where you know Steph's going to come to play. It's his home building. He'll get it cranking. 4.5 is his 3-point number, which means 5 to cash it in. But I'm looking at Jimmy Butler. This is one of those also where we'll get information throughout the day. You'll be able to watch the pregame warm-ups and make a decision because you understand, like, once you hear no restrictions then on Jimmy Butler, he's cashing that 20 points tonight. I just don't know if I can bet that early in the morning, understanding what we have, because when the game starts, if he's a little bit hobbled at that point, but gutting it out, you'll know right away. Maybe it's more of an in-game thing, but I just need to see the pregame. Jimmy Butler's moving around good. Looks like he's going to be fine. Talked to him earlier. No restrictions. Then I love him to get 20-plus points tonight.
Yeah, DRS, it could be a discount if he is even close to 100%, especially in a playoff atmosphere. 1 full game so far in a Golden State uniform in the playoffs, 25 points in Game 1 against Houston. We are expecting a sweep tonight in South Beach between the Heat and the Cavaliers. Cleveland, an 8.5-point road favorite for what could be our 4th and final game in this opening round set. Total at 211.5 now, DRS. Will the Heat have any resolve maybe to even make this game competitive and potentially stave off elimination?
Yeah, understand this. If you're betting this game, the Heat are at home, and it's been that graphic here at 9. It currently sits at the FanDuel Sportsbook at 8.5. You just need to bet the Miami Heat in the first quarter and or the first half. Because understand this, if the Heat are down double digits at the break, they're not fighting back and clawing to a victory to get us back to Cleveland. It's just a human element where they know in the Heat locker room they are not winning this series. But you can still say as a coach with Eric Spoelstra and sit in front of that team before you take your home court, hey, guys, let's give it all we got and see what happens here. And we'll take it one game at a time, which is what he's supposed to say. But if you don't respond to that in the first half, you're not responding in the second. And it will be a foregone conclusion that they'll probably get slapped by double digits. So if I'm betting this game, which I won't from a Heat perspective, the only angle I would play is taking the Heat early to say, hey, you never know. And then you find out that you do know and the series is over. I don't want to wait around for that.
Yeah, DRS, it's a good point, right? Miami was really in each of the opening 2 games in Cleveland, despite giving up more than 120 points and not even covering in game number 1, losing by 21. But they were down by only a single possession or around 6 points with less than a minute in that third quarter before Cleveland pulled away in the 4th and final in the opening game of this series. It was really competitive back and forth for most of game number 2 before Cleveland ended up winning by 9. The Cavaliers were only a 5.5-point favorite over the weekend against the Heat before they won by nearly 40 in the first game in Miami. I'm expecting Cleveland to sweep tonight. Now, is Cleveland going to cover as an 8.5-point favorite? That's a different story. DRS, you have always said, if there is a resolve for a team that is looking likely to be swept, it's in Game 3. Miami showed us nothing. Will they show us something here in Game 4? A little bit skeptical. If it is close, keep an eye on Donovan Mitchell and his points prop. He had 30 points in each of the opening 2 games of this series when it was rather competitive through at least 3.5 quarters. Did not need to score a ton in the nearly 40-point rout over the weekend.
Here's what I need to know. Any general managers in South Florida tonight that own a club, did Tyler Hero already make reservations for a post-game celebration? That's how you'll know. Because the one thing we do know, win or lose, Tyler Hero's going out on the town in Miami tonight. I just need to know if those reservations are in for that post-season celebration tonight.
Why is it just Tyler Hero? Bam Adebayo doesn't go out. Davion Mitchell
don't you remember the pictures
doesn't like to be
before
a man
we
about
caused so much heat? He's been known to party on big losses that the Heat have taken, like without a care in the world.
The prop perspective on this Monday from the Jack of all trades to start off a new week. It is TV Tom Vecchio of SportsGrid, live right here on this Monday morning on the early line. Tom, as always, we appreciate the time. Hope the weekend was great. Excited to break down some games with you on this Monday as well.
Weekend was good. We had a really great show yesterday for pro baseball today. My personal results for that show were a little bit mixed just because apparently some players don't know how to hit the ball anymore. But point notwithstanding, I'm ready to get into today. We are approaching, I'm going to say, the best part of games for the playoffs, especially that second round, like the teams that truly deserve to be there. Let's get to it.
Let's start off in the NBA playoffs. Tom and I will talk a little Stanley Cup playoff action before our 3 hours ends out. And, of course, when you have the two wonderful hosts of pro baseball today, a couple of plays around MLB on this 8-game Monday slate. We start with our first of two tonight, Vecchio, in the NBA playoffs. Is it over tonight in South Beach? The Heat host the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland, the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, an 8.5-point favorite. Expected to sweep Miami tonight in only 4 games. Our total now, Vecchio, stands at 211.5. Again, Cleveland up 3-0. Expected to sweep Miami tonight. But how competitive are we expecting potentially this 4th and final game to be?
I would expect a team coached by Erik Spoelstra to have some type of effort, especially after what we saw from them in the last game. Really wasn't good overall. We saw at some point I saw the live spread jump up to 18 some odd points, whatever it is. I expect more from a Spoelstra-led team. Are they still going to lose? Yes. The question that you guys were asking in the previous segment is, are they going to cover? That's a bit of a different story. So, as I always say, there's a number that I'll be looking for in game, and I think that number is 5. Right? 8.5, 9 points. I'm not sure if they cover that. Obviously, Cleveland is the far superior team in this matchup. I want an in-game number of 5 because that's what I think they can cover. They get it done. Miami shows some amount of resilience, but ultimately, Cleveland is so much better than them.
Yeah, Cleveland should be able to wind this one up here. 4-game, not even a gentleman's sweep. Just wipe them right out and get to round number 2 as we await the Celtics and also the Cleveland Cavaliers in those Eastern Conference Finals is the expectation. Late night game tonight, Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. An embarrassing performance for me, at least, for the Houston Rockets in game number 3. They look to bounce back. FanDuel opened this line, Tom, 4.5. It's now down to 3.5 at FanDuel, and a total that opened up at 201.5 now sits at 203, bouncing back and forth. Expectations tonight with Jimmy Butler possible playing again for the Warriors. What is it tonight between the Rockets and the Warriors for you?
Yeah, Jimmy Butler playing, not playing, whatever it might be. I think we'd all agree that even if he does play, he's not going to be at 100%. And, whether he's out there for a bit of a decoy role, does someone else step up and do the scoring? As we kind of saw the other game, obviously, Steph's going to do his thing. But I expect this to be largely what we have seen over the first 3 games, where it's going to be a slower pace, physical, lower scoring. And ultimately, that kind of leads me to Alperen Sengun under 18.5 points. He came out on fire on game 1, but I'm going to say that was the clear outlier when he shot 61% from the field. And that has since dropped to 40 and 38% from the field, as you'd expect when he's going up against Draymond Green. And again, when we're seeing games barely getting to 200 points, I don't expect too many players to be pushing past 20, 25 points. Obviously, Curry is the exception in that. And we've seen big games from Green, Van Vliet, Thompson doing their thing. So I think it has to be a well-rounded effort from the Rockets if they're going to keep this close. I just don't expect Alperen Sengun to be pushing past 20 points tonight.
26 in game number 1, Vecchio, was really the only Rockets starter who scored more than 11 in that matchup. To your point, all 3 games between the Dubs and the Rockets have stayed under. 203 is our total tonight. That's also the maximum points scored combined in a game so far in this opening round series. Sengun's points prop ever so slightly higher than that of Jalen Green at 17.5. My thought is that if Houston even makes this game remotely competitive tonight, Green has to go over that number as he did in game number 2 with 38 points, but has only scored in single digits in the other 2. We also saw there for our opening game tonight, DeAndre Hunter under 12.5 points for Cleveland. Vecchio, what is it about how we expect game 4 to play out tonight in South Beach that leads you to that under?
Yeah, forgot to touch on this one on the first game, but, a lot of people are going to be seeing the 21 points that he scored in the most recent game. Darius Garland did not play in that game. We have to remember that, right? He's listed as questionable for tonight, Garland, that is. In the first 2 games of the series, Hunter scored 0 and 12 points. And obviously, the 21 is great, but he did that when his role was expanded. So that is the outlier game, as we see with Sengun in game 1, when he shot 61%. So if Garland is out tonight, yes, there's a chance that Hunter may go over, but I'm expecting the game to go under overall. I just don't expect that role for DeAndre Hunter to be there. I'm anticipating Garland does play after a couple days of rest.